Hello and welcome to my interpersonal communication project. My name is Anna Oswald Hensley and I'm going to be presenting my project with you all. I want to start by saying please work with me because I am working with a headset and I will be working with a webcam on my computer, so I ask that you will be patient with me but also that you enjoy my presentation. I would like to start by first reading this quote by Stuart. It says there's a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of your life. I would also like to encourage you that as I'm presenting to let this quote stew in the back of your mind because we're going to revisit it at the end of our slides. On our next slide you will find the words, what is interpersonal communication? Interpersonal communication at its simplest form is the exchange of information between individuals or a group, or what we know to be basic communication. What this includes is collaboration, one's choices, culture, identities, conversation, and nexting. All of these come together to make up what we know as basic communication or interpersonal communication. On this slide you'll find impersonal versus interpersonal communications and how they compare against each other. Impersonal communication has no personal identity, it's very generic, it's programmed, and it's robot. It's very much what's expected. Interpersonal communication is very responsive, personalized, addressable, immeasurable, unique, and reflective. And in the middle you will find that both are types of communication. At this point of the presentation you have made it to the DISC model. Well, what is the DISC model, you ask? The DISC model was introduced by Dr. Mel's Carbonell and it serves as a simple way to categorize human behavior by splitting them into 4 categories. You have your D, your I's, your S, and your C. Well, I know you're wondering what does that stand for. Your D's are usually your more productive, competitive, and aggressive and headstrong individuals. I's are your talkative, enthusiastic, spontaneous, and persuasive people. Your S's are very peaceful, they're loyal, they're good listeners, and they're very dependable. And then your C's are systematic, detailed, organized, and orderly. All of these come together to make up personality profiles, and by far this is one of my favorites because at the University of South Carolina, Sumter, I work with ambassador leaders, and this is one of the things she uses to categorize her ambassadors to make sure who's going to get along with who in order to give the best tours to our students. My personal temperament is a high I. My motivation is driven by recognition, and my environmental needs are as follows. I enjoy friendly relationships, verbalizing ideas, the opportunity to influence and inspire, and prestige. I also work best with a leader who's democratic, they like to socialize, they recognize my abilities, and they offer incentives for risk. What I really need to learn is time management, that too much optimism isn't always a good thing, details are also important, and to have humility and value. When I think of a high I think of Tigger. This next slide features my overarching goal. Well, my goal is to be an empathetic listener. Why did I choose an empathetic listener? Well, as a high I tend to talk more than I listen. Thus, to become an empathetic listener, it would require me to focus, encourage, and reflect in conversations. This will help me to aid in enlarging the conversation. Well, what is enlarging the conversation, you ask? Enlarging the conversation is meant to represent all of the elements that go into a conversation that would have an effect on its outcome being positive or negative, aka my behavioral blend as a high I. What can empathetic listening do for me? Well, Burley Allen states that it will give me self-awareness, it will provide better relationships, and professional development and success. It will give me self-awareness because it involves me tuning into others, but it also involves me tuning into myself. Better relationships because as you truly listen, you build teamwork and trust and a sense of belonging to a group. And professional development and success comes from improving how we listen in a class. That means you're going to get better grades, you're going to get a better self-concept, and you can move up a notch or two. On this slide, you'll find the title, Background and Behavioral Blend Influences. What this is going to do is explain how my background and my behavioral blend affect me. How they affect me positively, and also how they affect me negatively. The first column is going to be your positively. Usually I'm social, I'm the life of the party, I'm very good to get recognition, I love public speaking, I love verbalizing my ideas, I often find humor in many things, I have open feelings, I'm very optimistic, and I'm unique. However, on the negative side, I like to talk too much, I miss details, I'm never quiet, I'm often rushed, and I have a short attention span. Our next title reads Personal Potential Barriers in Interpersonal Communication. What this means is that these are some of the potential barriers that I have identified that could, block me in interpersonal communication. My short attention span, the missing of details, and rushing. In regards to my short attention span, our text says to listen deeply and attentively and try to see matters from the other person's perspective. In regards to missing the details, they say that you need to verify this understanding with the other person if you see doubt as to whether you're fully on the same page. And as for rushing, you need to show respect and willingness to help others at all times. At this point of the presentation, you have made it to the DISC model. Well, what is the DISC model, you ask? The DISC model was introduced by Dr. Mel's Carbonell, and it serves as a simple way to categorize human behavior by splitting them into 4 categories. You have your D, your I's, your S, and your C. Well, I know you're wondering, what does that stand for? Your D's are usually your more productive, competitive, and aggressive and headstrong individuals. I's are your talkative, enthusiastic, spontaneous, and persuasive people. Your S's are very peaceful, they're loyal, they're good listeners, and they're very dependable. And then your C's are systematic, detailed, organized, and orderly. All of these come together to make up personality profiles, and by far this is one of my favorites because at the University of South Carolina, Sumter, I work with ambassador leaders, and this is one of the things she uses to categorize her ambassadors to make sure who's going to get along with who in order to give the best tours to our students. This next slide features solutions for internal and external noise pollution. Internal noise pollution solutions include listening with understanding, eye contact, direct attention to the conversation. External noise pollutions include asking the speaker to politely speak up, trying to take out the source of the noise such as the outdoor noise, or note the acoustic failure to whoever is speaking. My action plan includes the following. As the goal to be an empathetic listener, I plan to truly give my undivided attention to the speaker. I plan to speak up when external noise pollution presents. I won't rush, I'll have a little patience, and I believe that reflection, practice, and prayer are also things that need to be included. As our text states, empathetic listening provides a basis for closer relationships. So now we're back at that quote by Stewart. There's a direct link between the quality of your communication and the quality of life. I hope that my interpersonal communication project has really presented how I personally am going to handle how my communication and the quality of life measure up, but I also hope that you are able to use it to make sure that your quality of life is at its utmost best due to your communication being at its best. We're to the end of our presentation, so I want to say thank you for viewing my interpersonal communication project, and I also want to leave you with verse 46:10 of Psalms, which says, He says, be still and know that I am God. I will be exalted among the nations, and I will be exalted on earth. As that sinks in, I want you to remember that goals can be reached by practice, patience, and prayer. And thanks again for viewing my PowerPoint.